My name is Victoria Chen, and I learned at age 12 that you can live in the same house as your parents and still be invisible. It was a Tuesday afternoon in Portland, Oregon, when I came home from school with my acceptance letter to the Advanced Science program at Lincoln High School. The rain was doing that typical Pacific Northwest thing where it wasn't quite pouring, but wasn't quite misting either, just enough to make everything gray and heavy. I clutched the envelope against my chest, trying to keep it dry as I walked up the driveway of our modest two-story house in the Laurelhurst neighborhood. "Mom, Dad," I called out as I pushed through the front door, my sneakers squeaking on the hardwood floor. I got accepted. My mother was in the kitchen, her reading glasses perched on her nose as she scrolled through her phone. My father sat at the dining table with his laptop, likely reviewing contracts for his dental practice. Neither of them looked up. "That's nice, honey," my mother said absently, her eyes never leaving her screen. I stood there for a moment, the envelope still pressed to my chest, feeling the weight of their indifference settle on my shoulders like a wet blanket. "Your brother got into Stanford," my father said suddenly, his face breaking into the kind of smile I hadn't seen directed at me in years. "Full scholarship. Can you believe it?" I could believe it. My older brother Marcus was the golden child, the one whose soccer trophies lined the mantle, whose academic achievements were celebrated with family dinners and proud Facebook posts. I was the quiet one, the one who got good grades, but somehow never quite good enough to warrant the same attention. That night, as I lay in bed listening to my parents celebrate Marcus's achievement downstairs with champagne and laughter, I made myself a promise. One day, I would be so successful that they couldn't ignore me. The years that followed were a blur of studying, working, and planning. I graduated high school with honors, but my parents missed my ceremony because Marcus had a soccer tournament. I got into MIT on a partial scholarship, and my mother's response was, "That's expensive. Are you sure you can handle it?" I handled it. I more than handled it. I worked 3 jobs during college, tutoring, waitressing, and doing data entry for a local tech startup. I ate ramen for dinner most nights and bought my textbooks used. While my classmates went to parties, I went to networking events. While they slept in on weekends, I attended workshops on entrepreneurship and technology. By my junior year, I had developed an algorithm for optimizing supply chain logistics that caught the attention of a visiting professor. He introduced me to a venture capitalist who saw potential in my work. My senior year, I dropped out. "You're doing what?" My mother's voice crackled through the phone. "I'm starting a company," I explained, standing in my tiny studio apartment in Cambridge, Massachusetts. "I have investors. This is my chance." "Victoria, this is foolish. You're throwing away your education for some pipe dream. Why can't you be more practical like your brother? He has a stable job at Google now." Of course he did. And of course they knew every detail of his life while barely remembering which year of college I was in. "I'm doing this, Mom." I hung up before she could say anything else that would make me doubt myself. The next 5 years were the hardest of my life. My company, Chainlink Solutions, specialized in AI-powered logistics software for e-commerce businesses. My co-founder, Amy Rodriguez, was a brilliant engineer I had met at MIT. Together, we worked 18-hour days, survived on coffee and determination, and slowly built something remarkable. We failed a lot. Our first major client dropped us after 3 months. Our second round of funding fell through. I maxed out 4 credit cards and slept on Amy's couch for 6 months when I couldn't afford rent. But by year 3, we had our breakthrough. A major retailer signed a multi-million-dollar contract with us. By year 4, we had expanded to 23 employees and offices in Boston and Seattle. By year 5, we were valued at $50 million. And my parents? They knew none of it. I had stopped calling them regularly after that conversation about dropping out. Birthday cards arrived late or not at all. Christmas was a perfunctory phone call where my mother would ask generic questions about my life and then spend 20 minutes telling me about Marcus's promotion or his new house. I convinced myself I didn't care. I was too busy building an empire to worry about their approval. But then came the acquisition offer. It was a crisp autumn morning in Seattle when I got the call that would change everything. I was standing in my corner office on the 32nd floor, looking out at Puget Sound. "Victoria, you need to see this offer," Amy said, bursting through my door with her laptop. The offer was from Tech Giant Corp, one of the largest technology companies in the world. The number on the screen made my breath catch, $340 million. After 3 months of negotiations, I walked away with $180 million after taxes and splitting with Amy and our early investors. I was 30 years old, and I was unimaginably wealthy. The first thing I did was cry. I sat in my new penthouse apartment overlooking Elliott Bay and cried for the 12-year-old girl who had stood in her parents' kitchen, clutching an acceptance letter that no one cared about. Then I dried my eyes and started planning my new life. I bought a yacht, a 65-foot beauty that I named Invisible, a private joke that only I understood. I hired a captain and crew, and I started spending my weekends on the water, learning to navigate and reveling in the freedom that money could buy. I also started traveling: Paris, Tokyo, Barcelona, Cape Town, places I had only dreamed about. I documented some of it on a private Instagram account as a journal for myself, proof that I had made it. I didn't tell my parents about the acquisition. Part of me wanted them to find out on their own, to realize what they had missed. The other part of me was terrified that even this wouldn't be enough. 6 months after the acquisition, I got a call from my Aunt Linda. She was my father's younger sister, a free-spirited artist who lived in San Francisco. Unlike my parents, Aunt Linda had stayed in touch with me over the years. She sent care packages to my dorm, video called to check on me, celebrated my small victories when no one else did. "Victoria, I'm so proud of you." Her voice was bursting with excitement. "I saw the TechCrunch article about the acquisition. Honey, this is incredible." My heart swelled. Someone in my family was proud of me. We met at a waterfront restaurant in Ballard the following month. Over halibut and white wine, I told her everything. She listened with the kind of attention my parents had never given me. "Have you told your parents?" she asked finally. I shook my head. They didn't care about my life before. Why would they care now? Aunt Linda squeezed my hand. "Because this is impossible to ignore, sweetie. And maybe they need to know what they've been missing." After lunch, I invited her to see the yacht. When we arrived at the marina, Aunt Linda gasped. "Victoria, this is yours?" We spent the afternoon on the water, cruising around Lake Union. Aunt Linda took pictures of the yacht, of the Seattle skyline, of me at the helm wearing white pants and a navy blazer, my dark hair blowing in the wind. "Can I post some of these?" Aunt Linda asked. "They're so beautiful." I hesitated. My Instagram was private, carefully curated to keep my family out. But Aunt Linda's account was public, and she was friends with my parents on Facebook. "Sure," I said finally. Maybe it was time. Aunt Linda posted 3 photos that evening with the caption, "So proud of my brilliant niece Victoria and her beautiful yacht. She's living her best life in Seattle. Proud Aunt Tashar's success, how family love." 3 days later, my phone rang. It was my mother. I stared at my phone screen, watching my mother's name flash with each ring. I hadn't spoken to her in almost 7 months. I almost didn't answer, but curiosity made me swipe to accept. "Hello? Victoria." My mother's voice was sharp, clipped. "What is this about a yacht?" Not, "How are you?" Not, "We haven't talked in months." Just straight to the yacht. "Hello to you too, Mom. Don't be difficult." Linda posted pictures on Facebook. "Since when do you have a yacht? Please tell me you didn't do something stupid with credit cards." Something cold settled in my chest. I bought it with my own money. Money I earned when my company was acquired 6 months ago. Silence. Then, what was what? "My company, Chainlink Solutions. We were acquired by tech giant Corp for $340 million. I walked away with $180 million. More silence. In the background, I heard my father's voice. "What's going on?" "It's Victoria," my mother said. "She says she sold a company for millions of dollars." "What company?" My father's voice came closer. She must have put me on speaker. "The company I started 7 years ago. The one I dropped out of MIT to build. The one you told me was a pipe dream." "Victoria, that's extraordinary," my father said. "Is it? Because when I called to tell you I was starting it, you told me I was being foolish. When I got into MIT, you barely congratulated me. When I graduated high school with honors, you missed the ceremony." "Now wait just a minute," my father began. "No, Dad, you wait. Do you know when the last time you called me was? 9 months ago. And that was only because you needed to know if I'd be at Marcus's birthday party." "We've been busy," my mother interjected. "You know how it is with everything with your brother." "With Marcus. It's always been about Marcus. When was the last time either of you asked about my life? Really asked?" The silence stretched out, filled only with the sound of rain against my windows. You want to know something? When I was living on Amy's couch, eating 99-cent noodles, working 20-hour days, there were nights I almost called you. But I knew what you'd say. You'd tell me to give up and get a real job, to be more like Marcus. That's not fair, my mother said weakly. Isn't it? When I told you about MIT, you worried about the cost. When Marcus told you about Stanford, you threw a party. When my company landed its first major client, I called to tell you. You talked for 3 minutes before switching the conversation to Marcus's promotion. Do you even remember that call? Silence. That was answer enough. We barely remember you, my mother said finally, her voice soft but devastating. You never made it easy to remember you, Victoria. You were always so quiet, so independent. Marcus needed us more. I was quiet because every time I tried to share something, you weren't listening, and I became independent because I had to. This is ridiculous, my father said. We're your parents. We've always supported you. We paid for your college. You paid for the necessities. That's the bare minimum. That's not love. That's obligation. So what do you want from us? My mother asked. An apology? You're successful now. Isn't that enough? And there it was. They didn't see their neglect as a problem. I wanted you to be proud of me. I wanted you to see me. But I realize now that I've been chasing something that was never really available. What does that mean? My mother asked. It means I'm done. I'm done competing with a ghost for your attention. I'm done hoping that the next achievement will be the one that makes you finally care. If you want to be part of my life, you're going to have to actually try. Until then, I need space. Victoria, you're being dramatic, my father said. Then act like family. Actually call me. Ask about my life. Show up. Until then, I need space. I ended the call before they could respond. My hands were shaking, but underneath the hurt, I felt something else. Relief. The next morning, I called my therapist. Dr. Sarah Mitchell had been helping me work through anxiety, but we hadn't fully addressed my family issues yet. What you're describing is emotional neglect, Dr. Mitchell said during our session. It's often invisible because it's not about what they did. It's about what they didn't do. They think I'm overreacting. That's common. People who engage in this kind of neglect often don't recognize it because they provided the basics. They don't see emotional attentiveness as equally necessary. So what do? You set boundaries. You prioritize your own well-being. And you let go of the hope that they'll suddenly become the parents you needed. That last part was the hardest. But as the days passed, I started to understand. It wasn't giving up. It was accepting reality. 3 months later, I was sitting in Aunt Linda's art studio in San Francisco. The afternoon sun streamed through massive windows, turning dust particles into dancing specks of gold. Your mother called me, Aunt Linda said, handing me coffee. She's confused. She doesn't understand why you're shutting them out. She doesn't want to hear it. Hearing it would mean admitting they did something wrong. Aunt Linda sipped her coffee thoughtfully. Can I tell you something about your father's childhood? I nodded. Your grandfather was an immigrant from China who built a successful dental practice through sheer determination. But he was hard on your father. Nothing was ever good enough. Your father swore he'd never be like that with his own kids, and he wasn't, with Marcus. But I think he overcompensated so much with his first child that he didn't know how to balance it with you. That's not an excuse. No, Aunt Linda agreed. It's not. It's an explanation. There's a difference. What they did is wrong. You deserved better. But people are complicated. They can love you and still hurt you. I don't know if I can forgive them. You don't have to. Not yet. Maybe not ever. But holding on to anger is like drinking poison and expecting the other person to die. Whatever you decide, make sure it's what serves you, not what punishes them. That conversation stayed with me. I thought about it during my morning runs, during quiet evenings, during board meetings for the 3 startups I was now investing in. I thought about it when Marcus called me for the first time in over a year. Hey Vic, can we talk? We met at a coffee shop in Bellevue. Marcus looked older, with a few gray hairs at his temples. I'm sorry, he said immediately. For everything. For not staying in touch. For not seeing what was happening. You didn't notice? He looked ashamed. I noticed. I just didn't think about it much. I was the older kid. Getting more attention seemed normal. And I benefited from it, so I didn't question it. His honesty was unexpected. They missed your high school graduation for my soccer tournament. I should have said something. I was selfish. You were a teenager. So were you. And you deserved parents who showed up. He looked at me directly. I'm really proud of what you've built. What you accomplished is incredible. And I'm sorry I wasn't there cheering you on. Something inside me loosened. Thank you. That means more than you know. I want to do better. If you'll let me, I want to actually be your brother. We spent 2 hours talking, really talking, for the first time in our adult lives. He told me about his work, his struggles with imposter syndrome, his recent breakup. I told him about the loneliness of building a company, the surreal experience of sudden wealth, my complicated feelings about our parents. They're not going to change, Marcus said finally. I've been trying to get them to see it for months. They think you're overreacting. There is no normal to go back to. That's what they don't understand. As spring turned to summer, I built something new, a life that didn't revolve around seeking my parents' approval. I deepened my friendship with Amy. I started dating again. I got closer to Aunt Linda, visiting her monthly. I even started taking painting classes. I maintained my relationship with Marcus too. We had lunch every few weeks, and slowly, we built something that felt like genuine sibling affection. He never pressured me about our parents. He just showed up, consistently. As for my parents, we exchanged occasional texts, superficial things, holiday greetings, brief updates. It was sad and formal, but it was honest. We were barely more than polite acquaintances who happened to share blood. It hurt. There were still moments when I saw a mother and daughter laughing together and felt that old ache. But I was learning to grieve for the parents I'd needed, but never had. 1 year after the yacht incident, I stood on the deck of the Invisible as it cut through the waters of Puget Sound. The summer evening was perfect. Amy was with me, along with Marcus, Aunt Linda, and friends from my entrepreneurship group. "Speech!" Amy called out, raising her champagne glass. I laughed, but raised my glass. A year ago, I had a realization. I had spent most of my life trying to be seen by people who weren't looking. I had equated my worth with their recognition. I looked around at the faces watching me, people who had chosen to be here. But I learned something important. Family isn't just who you're born to. It's who shows up. It's who sees you. And by that definition, I'm surrounded by family right now. Aunt Linda wiped her eyes. Marcus smiled with pride. Amy cheered. So here's to being seen. Here's to building the life and the family you deserve. And here's to finally being enough, not for anyone else, but for yourself. We clinked glasses as the sun set, painting the sky in shades of orange and pink. The yacht rocked gently beneath us, and I felt something I hadn't felt in a long time: peace. Later, after everyone had gone home, I received a text from my mother. "Happy birthday, Victoria. Hope you're well." 4 words, impersonal, safe. I typed back, "Thank you. I am well. Hope you are too." 4 words back, just honest. I looked out at the lights of Seattle reflecting on the dark water, at the life I had built from nothing but determination and the belief that I deserved more. The 12-year-old girl who had stood in her parents' kitchen would have been amazed by where I'd ended up. Not just the yacht, or the penthouse, or the millions, but the confidence, the peace, the understanding that being invisible to some people didn't mean I was invisible at all. I opened Instagram and posted a photo from earlier, me at the helm of the Invisible, surrounded by my chosen family, all of us laughing. The Seattle sunset blazed behind us. The caption was simple: 31 and finally visible. Here's to the people who see you and the courage to let go of those who don't. In gratitude, into your chosen family. Living my best life. I posted it publicly, knowing my parents would probably see it. Not because I wanted to hurt them, but because I was done hiding my happiness. I was done being invisible. And as I sat there under the stars, I realized that the girl who had promised herself she'd be too successful to ignore had gotten it wrong. The goal was never to be too successful to ignore. The goal was to be so complete in myself that it didn't matter if they ignored me or not. And I had finally, beautifully achieved that.